can give us an introduction of what you do, who you are, all of that. When did you graduate Oglethorpe? And also tell us your Oglethorpe story. Maybe tell us your favorite Oglethorpe moment. That would be great.
I guess we'll start with me. Hey, I'm Pete. John Martin on paper, but I'm Pete. I graduated in 2009. My degree is in business administration. My Oglethorpe story is pretty much, I always wanted to be an athlete, but the school I came from didn't have organized sports. So Division III allowed me to walk on to the track team, where I became the co-captain my second year up until my senior year, and also where I currently hold the record in shot put. Also, what Oglethorpe allowed me to do was to tap into my entrepreneurial spirit. I started a couple of different organizations, and another organization that I'm really, really proud of that I started was called the OU Street Team. I was able to hone into my marketing skills by marketing different organizations and the organization's events. So this is a big thing about Oglethorpe for me, is that you can truly choose your path here, and this is why I love the school.
What do you do now?
What I do now, I work in Peachtree City, Georgia for Avery Dennison. I work in quality control. I got ordained as a minister about 6 months ago, and also I'm starting a mentor group for young males ranging from middle school out to college to help them transition from whatever demographic they're currently in into the next in a very smooth manner. So.
My name is Monet Fulgham. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I work at SunTrust Robinson Humphrey right here in Buckhead. I'm a systems support analyst, I guess. I help all the big guys who make money continue to make money. And they pay me a nice salary to do it, so I'm not mad. It's my Oglethorpe story. I come from, we were just talking about college football here. I'm a very big Gator fan, and if you didn't go to UF, y'all can stop the hate. If you didn't go to UF in Florida, like, you pretty much went nowhere. And coming to Oglethorpe that had, like, no football, it was hard to adjust, but it was all great. The campus, they made sure that you were still participating in certain events, like we had Hogwarts Day, Boar's Head was dope. And then a lot of times, too, you make friends off campus, so you're at Georgia Tech games, Georgia State games. Morehouse is a terrible team, but they're A1. So I would say that I have a lot of friends who still live in Atlanta that I made at Oglethorpe that I consider like lifelong friends that I know 10 years down the line will still be chopping up on the phone or whatever. So I would say that it's a small school in a big city, and there's a lot to do, and you make really good connections and a lot of great friends here.
She likes UF, but she's in UGA color.
You know what? Just because they have a great color palette doesn't mean it's a good school. It's a terrible team, though.
Anyway, my name is Jillian Martin. I love this place. Every time I come back on the campus, it's like I've returned home, and I hope that that is what happens to you when you come back after graduating from here. I currently am at the University of Georgia, go down to Sycamore. Where I'm a doctoral. So unnecessary. I work in college student affairs administration, so your community life office is very similar to what I do. And I'm also a doctoral student. I am studying a university in Ghana, so I get to go to Ghana in a few months. And so I always say that my career in student affairs started at Oglethorpe. And so if you're interested in education, particularly higher education, you have a lot of opportunities to get involved here. When I was here, I did a little bit of everything. I was in athletics, I threw shot put and discus, I was a volleyball manager, I was an RA, student government, in APO, so I did a lot of things, and am still really involved with Oglethorpe. I'm on the Oglethorpe Alumni Board, and so I'm very interested in all of the great things STAT is doing, because I think it's very important to try to build that alumni base while students are here. My Oglethorpe story actually, again, it was where my career started. My ability to get involved in a lot of different things helped me to tap into the things I love the most, which is working with college students and help them to achieve their true potential. So career readiness and career prep is a big part of mental health. So start thinking about what you want to do now and get that experience now, because that's very important. But I'm so happy to be here with you today and see these smiling people faces. It's kind of cute.
My name is Curtis McLeod. I graduated in 2009 with a bachelor's in accounting. I'm currently an accounting manager for a real estate firm, Coral Realty. We do a lot of these crazy mixed-use developments, apartments and retail and that sort of thing. So keep an eye out for one of our signs. My Oglethorpe story, so I'm Army brat, bounced around a lot as a child. We finally moved to a small town, Reedsville, Georgia. You may or may not know that by Fidelio Sweet Onions. We had one traffic light and a Dairy Queen, and that was pretty much it. So coming to Oglethorpe, it's a small university. It really fit with me and clicked with me. You get that sort of personalized attention in the classroom. You have the alumni who always like to come back to campus, and everyone's just friendly and very personable and has that hometown feel. And some others have mentioned this, but you just really build a lot of great connections. I know anytime I see a Peach Roll license plate, I get really excited. But it's a great place to really network and make lasting connections, both in your personal life and in your professional career.
Hi everybody, my name is Chad Smith. I'm also from Union, Georgia, like these guys over here. Part of the reason I came to Oglethorpe is like what everybody else mentioned, the family feel. I was pretty set on going to Morehouse. I like turned everything in. I got this little paper from Oglethorpe and it was like, oh, you have free admission. I didn't have to pay. Yeah, free application, sorry. Free admission would have been better. She worked on that. But I did take it. I just went ahead and applied. I mean, I didn't have to pay. That was the only college I didn't have to pay for. I came on campus and I actually met John, or Pete, when I came on campus, and him and a couple other people were actually one of the main reasons I actually came to Oglethorpe. We're still pretty good friends. I don't get to talk as much, but life gets real busy when you leave. But I feel really comfortable that I can talk to them at any point I want. With that being said, like the family relationship, here I met the vice president of the alumni development at the time. It was Peter Rooney. And he knew me by name like that day, and every time I see him since, he'd come up and like, Chad Smith, Union, Georgia, how you doing? He'd come to his office. Like when he left, he told the story about when we met, when he left Oglethorpe. I was fortunate to be here when he took another position, and it's just that kind of thing really made Oglethorpe special to me. On campus, I was really involved. I did a little bit of everything. That's one of the beautiful things about Oglethorpe. You have that opportunity to do everything and still get an education. It's pretty amazing. I'll take advantage of that. But I did that. I met some great people, as everybody else mentioned. I still stay in touch with them, and to this day, like every time I see a feature tag, I do the same thing. You get excited, and you'll be surprised how many features you see. I recently just switched to a new company a few months ago, and one of the partners went to Oglethorpe. And so me and him talked a lot. And he's in accounting. I studied accounting as well. And the partner there, I'm trying to get him involved. We're trying to set up some things for the accounting department to get it back to where it was when I was here. So that's my story.
Well, I'm Andrea Williams, and I know it says Vincent, but I'm married for 2 years, but I need to update that.
That was my fault.
Don't need to update that. But I'm currently a marketing manager with a nonprofit government alliance. We go into different cities and counties and states, and we help to build parks and recreation centers and things of that nature. And anytime that you see, if you're on the Beltline and you see those cool contraptions of like toys and outside working material, like you can exercise and do all that type of stuff, that's our company. We do that for the cities and the counties all around the country. I graduated 2008 with a business degree here at Oglethorpe. My Oglethorpe story, I originally came to Atlanta because I wanted to study fashion. And I had an interview set up for Clark Atlanta, and my parents, they wouldn't let me get out of the car. They were like, no, we don't trust this neighborhood. We don't trust anything about this. We don't trust anything about it. Even though we researched and everything, we missed that appointment. And we had another appointment at Oglethorpe. And we came here and we met Julian. And she taught my parents, more so, she let them know that this was a safe haven, that it was a family-oriented school and you can make a life here. And one of the things about Oglethorpe that I liked was being a part of the track team as well. It was a small team, but we had fun. I was on the track team with Pete, and we had fun. We broke records. We did everything a large school would do. And it's just so many opportunities. I also had 2 internships with Girl Scouts of America and also Six Flags Over Georgia, and that really helped mold what I wanted to do as far as being in the business industry. And now I am starting my own nonprofit. And being in Oglethorpe and making those connections, I'm still using individuals today to help me uproot that nonprofit. So that's my Oglethorpe story.
Alright, so if we can start out by, the topic of this panel, have you experienced racial bias in your workplace or in your career?
I can start that off. I have an amazing story that not a lot of people know about. As a junior, my name on paper is John Timothy Martin III. As a junior, I went in for an interview, and it really pushed me away from big corporations, and it really taught me that I wanted to work for a smaller company, somebody that was preferably a startup. I went into this interview, and I waited for 45 minutes because they were waiting on John Timothy Martin III. They did not know I was John Timothy Martin III. So there is a lot that goes along with it. What I was wearing, my suit was too big. My tie, my knot didn't have a dimple. I didn't wear a tie bar. My haircut, my facial hair wasn't trimmed as it should have been. Now, I'm not giving them a reason to do what they did, but as a Black American, you're at a disadvantage, and I can be honest here. We're at a disadvantage. So what I would like to really push to you all is to be at your best at all times. In the workforce, at my job, I don't see it as much. I don't have to worry about it in my job per se. But I really would like to teach, and I mentor young brothers on how to be men early and how to establish themselves as an individual as well in whatever demographic or whatever occupation they want to go into. So that's a little bit of the bias that I have seen in my work history.
I would say working in corporate America, a predominantly white space, you have to walk in and demand the respect that they automatically give your counterparts because they're waiting on you to prove yourself. You don't have the luxury of just coming in and knowing, okay, I'm good. You have to come in and you already have to hit the ground running. You've got to take on 3 times the work, be 3 times as fast. You've got to do all of that. And you have to let them know up front, as soon as you walk through the door, you're not to be trifled with. Like, you are that person. You will get that job done, but you also going to respect me. But you have to do it in a way that, and I hate to say this, but you have to do it in a way that doesn't come off as too Black or too aggressive, because then they automatically label you as the angry Black woman or the angry Black man, when in fact, it's not even that, but it's just, you have to carry yourself in a certain professional fashion that says, I get my work done. No, you don't need to watch me. You don't need to micromanage me. Like, I'm just as good, if not better, than them. And it sucks because you did nothing to deserve that, but it is there. And you guys, the sooner that you acclimate to that, the sooner that you realize that, the better off you'll be, because there's a game that you have to play, especially in corporate America. And I've worked in corporate America maybe about 4 years now, full time. And it's just, you kind of got to see it on its way before it gets to you, because you got to be proactive instead of being reactive. And I've been in both situations, and they both suck, but it happens. So.
Also, well, since I can't remember the name of the department that quick. Your department. Career services is so important because I was in career services with Lisa Littlefield and Gigi Burke more than anybody else. My skills at interviewing are to me and even to them were above most. You have to be prepared to answer any question. You have to be prepared to answer questions that are not asked as well, if that makes sense. You have to put yourself in a place where you can understand your interviewer, where you can ask your interviewer questions to get to know them, to know how to act or know how to respond. All these things are important. That's why career services is so important here at Oglethorpe. And they give amazing feedback. Don't be afraid of the feedback, because the feedback is what's going to make you who you want to be. You got to get there. You have a desire. I know you have that will, that drive, determination, but it's something that's going to have to get you there. You can't go in a car without stomping on the gas, on the pedal. But you can't, if you stomp on the pedal and there's no gas in the car, you won't move anywhere. Yeah, you might know what to do, but it takes something else to push you.
Prayer service is really important.
One of the things that I've come across, a lot of people, all of my friends know me as Lanice. That's my middle name. I wasn't named after my father. That sounds ethnic. Anytime that I go to an interview or I change my resume, it's always Andrea L. Vinson, because I didn't want the interviewer or the company to look at my resume and say, hey, this doesn't look like, you know, Susie or Amy's or anything like that. So never, when you're going to interview or know yourself, just like you said, know yourself, go in there with your head held high. That's one of the mistakes that I think I made in going into corporate America. I was not proud of my name, and I should have been. Even though I just read a study, besides Forbes magazine, with the names. The interviewers aren't sliding those resumes to the side. The end result is that when you know yourself and are confident in yourself and your name, it should come across in that interview. So one of the things I want to let you all know is that don't be afraid of your name, or just like I did, I made that mistake. I'm definitely proud of my full name, so I just wanted to let you guys know that.
That is the thing, because my full name is Jasmine Monet Fulgham, so there's no, and my name is spelled Jazmyn, so it's ethnic, like, there's no question that my name is black. So, but I usually go by my middle name because everybody's name is Jasmine. But a lot of times, they'll be like, oh, Monique or Mona, or it's like, no, Monet. You're going to get my name right. Monet, it's not that hard. So a lot of times, like what you were saying, you do kind of have to jump that hurdle as well, as far as them recognizing who you are and making sure they say your name right. And a lot of times they want to give you a nickname because it's hard to say. And it's just like, no, that's my name. It's on the business card, it's on the tag, you're going to say it. So.
I think the racial bias that I felt the most in job searching was around, Pete's my brother, by the way, so we're siblings, but was the way that we were named. So, you know, I would arrive at interviews and people would be kind of taken aback that I was Jillian Martin. And they'd be like, oh, that's, I didn't, okay, yeah, cool, you know. So it's very slight, but I notice it when it happens. Or in very common conversations that you'd be having, like if you're about to go to a lunch appointment for the interview, or if you are walking from one place to another, very slight, the conversations will be slighted to say something around some stereotype of blackness. So I saw this happening on that, or I saw that happening on that. You try your very best to sort of stay in the conversation, because you don't want to completely, when you're on a job interview, be disrespectful at all, but that gives you clues into the culture that you're going to enter, right? It gives you clues. So if you really want these companies, because some of these companies, they really want students from liberal arts institutions, because you can think, you can write, you can speak very well, because notice how all of us speak very well, and not in the way of whiteness, right? But this idea that we're speaking in a way that's representative of who we are. Yes. And they want that, they need that. However, you kind of have to play the game depending on the company that you want. There was a really great university that I was recruited to work for, and we were on our way to walking to the lunch appointment, and I like Kanye West. Okay, I like him. I still like him, whatever. But anyway, we got into a conversation about Kanye West, who your favorite rapper was. So I tend to just play along to those type of things because I really like this university. So I sort of just played along, and as we were talking, he said, well, I can't stand Kanye West because he's very uppity, is what the person who was walking me to the lunch said. And so if you know me, you know I always have to take a moment to educate people. So I was like, so what does uppity mean? He was like, you know, he just acts like he's higher than he is. And I was like, well, what do you know about Kanye West's background? Because if you knew, Kanye West was raised middle class and his mother was a professor. So his uppity acting makes him uppity to you, but what does it mean that I'm here? Do you mean that all black people should be here? You know, all these, you know how the questions go in your head. And so I took that moment. I mean, the interview was great until that point. And then when it switched that we were began to talk to students, it was for a position in working in diversity and multiculturalism in the university. we were talking to the students, and I began to hear the stories of the students and talking about their experience on that campus and how people would ask those type of questions to them, how that would always make them feel uncomfortable. And I was one of the first people of color that even saw being brought to the university. The university was creating the position, essentially. And so I had to make a decision when the offer came in that actually I'm not going to take the offer. And waited around a little bit more for the university to actually ended up at Virginia. But I really loved this university, and it reminded me a lot of Oglethorpe, but I couldn't I couldn't go enter into that culture, and so I had to say no when that offer was made. So that was hard. However, that spoke volumes to the culture and what I was entering to hear. That conversation on the way to get lunch. And if you know me too, you know when I'm hungry, I'm hangry. So, but then also to hear the students tell me those stories that hurt, but I had to make that decision that I, be in the job search for a little bit longer. And I know we'll talk about it in the workplace as well, but those are the same type of things that happen in the workplace too. You have to decide, how am I going to answer these questions and prepare yourself for it. Read about Google microaggressions in the workplace and things people say. Anything people say, I've probably already heard. Now, getting on this point, one of the big things about me working in the workplace was when I changed my hair. So I transitioned from having a relaxed hair to wearing my hair in its natural state. And that was and I was transitioning actually during the job search. And that was probably all of the comments that I got. And we have people try to reach for your hair. People make comments about how I thought it would feel like a Brillo pad, but it's softer. Yeah, you have those things that people are saying to you. However, I'm not sitting expecting it though. People actually just say it because they get comfortable. That's fine. But knowing how you're going to answer those questions is also very important. That preparedness when you're going on the job interview. And even when you're working in those workplaces. I know that's hard to hear because I feel like you have yet another thing to put on your back to carry. However, that is something that I've had to practice a great deal
Yeah, Oglethorpe's a great place and it's very diverse, but that actually kind of works against you because a lot of people you'll encounter, especially in corporate America, don't have this college environment. You're going to encounter, a group of Auburn frat boys, and they'll all be your manager, and they all kind of look the same and dress the same, and you have to learn how to sort of adapt to that culture. I've worked for a lot of big multinational companies over the years, and I can probably, on my fingers and toes, count the black males that I've worked with at these companies where there will be 2,500 people in an office, but it's me and one other black guy in the entire office. So you have to learn how to adapt to these situations, but also, you can't be a walking PSA for Black America every minute of the day. That's stressful for you. That's taking away from your professional development to sort of show people, the appropriate way to, ask a question. And some of it is genuine curiosity because once again, they do not have the same background we do. They don't necessarily encounter the same diverse groups of people, so they're genuinely curious. But like Jillian was mentioning, you have to be prepared for these questions and be able to diffuse the situation, but also stick up for yourself and be your authentic self. It's something you just have to learn, and it's going to be shocking at first, but you still got to do it.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with him. I came from public accounting as well, so at the current office I think it's about 100 employees and of black auditors, like not just like the support staff, but black auditors. There is 2 black males, 3 actually, 3 black males and like 3 black females out of 100 people. And yes, we're really close. But, these are the things you're always going to have to go against. And, we talk about it all the time. Every day it's like we are fighting not only just to work and be accepted for who we are, but now all of a sudden we are the representation for the whole black population.
For a lot of people.
Yeah. Right. And, like he said, they didn't grow up in that environment. If you went to these bigger schools where, everybody wear boat shoes and polos and bow ties. Khaki pants and bow ties. That's kind of the culture they're going to bring you to it. I take myself in what Oglethorpe has made me, where I feel like I was exposed to so many different cultures. They are truly amazed to see that I'm so informed about so many different things Like I know, like they always ask me about what restaurant should they go to because you know I love trying food. So like I've eaten a little bit of everything, and I love Asian food. So I eat a lot of sushi, and like I can eat anything with chopsticks. And like you know they were just like, wait, what? You know how to, you know, and then even if they want to ask me about something that relates to Black culture, like I'll tell them like, yeah, we can go wherever you want to go. I'm comfortable with myself, and that took a long time. It's not something I woke up with. I think being here challenged me every day. Because I was kind of like, one of the things I did when I came to Oglethorpe, and one of the reasons I came instead of Morehouse is I said, well, when I get out in corporate America or get out into the workforce, I'm not just going to be around people that look like me, so I need to figure out how to get comfortable being around other people. So Oglethorpe gave me the opportunity to be challenged, and taking leadership positions on campus where you're working with people that everybody looks different, that is an amazing experience, and you should do it. And not only should you just take it and try to like just, you know, hey, I'm a Black guy and I'm on my stuff, and you gotta respect me, but you should also say, hey, you know, like, I can teach you about my culture, teach me about yours, and you can share these experiences, and that'll help only strengthen who you are and help you find yourself, but it also helps other people realize that, you know, hey, we're all people. At the end of the day, we want the same things. And I think that's something that people kind of have a hard time thinking because, you know, it's so easy to just see the same things. Like, you know, you have your blinders on and you're only used to this instead of stepping outside of your comfort zone. So I always say I challenge myself all the time to step outside of my comfort zone. I try to learn languages. I try to be around, like, I always brag that I try to have the most diverse friends that I can have. Because I don't want to feel like I'm missing out on something, or I just want to feel I'm only in this box. I promise you I could probably go toe-to-toe with whatever you want to go with, just because I put myself in that position to be exposed to it. So that's something I say you should definitely do, because it really would help you, especially if you want to get out into corporate arena or something like that. I'll definitely tell you guys a little bit more about statistics and accounting, which will probably blow your mind, just the lack of us in it and why we don't stay in accounting. So it's pretty crazy.
Oh, you already talked. Well, we at this point we can open up to questions from the audience. Yeah.
My name is Dutch, and my question is, when you're like confronted or like tested with stuff in the professional world, I guess about your culture, how do you like? I don't want to say fight your tongue, but how do you like maneuver or like around it? Because like me, I cannot do that. Yeah. You know, I'm very like outspoken. So how do you like?
I'll say take a breath first. Don't do anything rash. Don't make it emotional, because then you're going to play into angry Black man or angry Black woman. You don't have to be whatever. So you take a breath and think about it for a second. And remember, not everybody is trying to be aggressive. Some people being passive aggressive. Some people are, but it's not you to make. Don't make that call for yourself. You try to take from a standpoint. Okay, well, this is an opportunity for me to either A, walk away from it, or two, to educate. But I feel like if you're not going to go one of those two ways, it's probably best just to leave it alone, because you don't want to get in a situation where all of a sudden you start to act a little more brash than you normally would because you're offended by something. But I think there's different ways to handle it, and you definitely don't want to come off. I would say, as difficult as it can be, you don't want to be the angry Black person. And I know that I hate saying that, but I mean, people at my job will tell you that I'm cool, calm, and collected all the time. Like, I just kind of, I'm not going to let you change the way I feel about something. Like, I'm very stern on what I know how I feel, I know where I stand on things, and you're not going to come in and just change it. If you want to have a conversation, I'm all for it. But if you're going to come in and just try to be rude or brash or something like that, I'm not going to give you the time of day. And I think that hurts people more than anything, because people, they're doing it to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah, and that's what that deep breath does. Deep breath calms you from automatically reacting, right? It calms your sympathetic nervous system, because usually when we hear those things, blood rushes to our heads and we're like ready to fight. And usually we do that with our words. And so that deep breath calms me. But then, like he was saying, either I'm going to walk away from it or I'm going to educate. And so I'm in higher education, and so usually I have to take the stance of educating. Now, if it's a person that continuously does something, I will begin to document. I'm a person, I love to send an email to my supervisor in a minute to be like, I just want to let you know this. And the moment that the next thing happens, we have an Office of Civil Rights at an institution, so I'm going to the representative of civil rights and let them know. I've only had one mediation before, so I've never had to go to the Office of Civil Rights. neutral party came in to mediate a conversation between me and another person. But it always is important to take a deep breath. I have had those rash moments where I don't care. I'm like, I'm from Newnan. That's not even being angry black woman. It's being a country black. It's being a country person. And being like, you're not going to talk to me in that way, because when you talk to me that way, you're talking to me like I'm less than. And real quick, I didn't go. My K through 12 wasn't with white people. It was all black, African American, and Christian. We had very same belief systems. And so it wasn't until I got to Oglethorpe that I really encountered this sort of, you're less than me. And I didn't understand it. I was like, I'm not less than you. I'm on your level. Like I entered this school really young. And so I entered young, I graduated on time. So you can't tell me, and Oglethorpe is where I actually began to practice this, of taking a deep breath and being like, is it really worth it? And then you begin to see the people who are worth it, who really want to be educated, versus the people who are just saying things for a reaction. You become aware of it. Even when a person opens their mouth now, I'm like, you don't even have to, no, you're not worth it. Actually, can I talk to you for a minute? And that helps too, to de-escalate by saying, can I talk to you for a minute? It's different from, and that never helps. Never helps. Because it was a reflection on you, and it creates an entire confrontation for your office environment, your office culture.
A lot of times you have to keep it real cute and real professional. Because I experience this in meetings a lot of times, and my senior management is all white. So when they make these microaggression kind of comments, I have to politely let them know, no, that's not going to fly with me. So you have to assess the situation, like she says, and sometimes it only takes half a second, and you just know, okay, I know they didn't mean it in an offensive way, however, let me address it this way so that they know not to do that again, and I still look good in front of my cohorts or whatever. So a lot of times it is just taking a second to calm down, because it makes the difference between you looking good in front of everyone and that affecting your career positively, or you looking bad in front of everyone and HR is calling you to their office, and it gets blown out of proportion and everything. So it really does take a second just to be like, I know you didn't just say that, but let me not cut you out because I'm going to lose my job and I got to pay the student loans. So a lot of times it just takes a second. You just got to take that breath and just be like, not today, Satan, not today.
I talk to a lot of young guys, and I'm 28, and I would say the best thing about your situation right now, Dutch, is that you know your issue. You know that I hate when this happens. You know that when I'm approached this way, I'm disrespected. Knowing that is going to put you in a different place, knowing if you want to change it. If you don't want to be disrespected by it, don't be disrespected by it. Take it as ignorance. Some people just don't know, not with the negative connotation of ignorance, but some people just don't know. About Cam Newton, the one NFL player said, it's not the person that they have an issue with or a misunderstanding by, it's the culture. They don't understand why you do what you do. They don't understand how you do it. They don't understand how can you be so oppressed for so long, not get anything for it, still disrespected by mass amounts of individuals, and still have a smile on your face. Me, what I do personally is I smile. If I get anyone that does anything to me, you'll see these dimples when I don't have my beard. you get that, and what you got to give them is something that they're not expecting, which is love, man. You got to show them that, hey, I knew this is coming. I'm not surprised, buddy. Y'all not surprised when these things happen. When people say something about your hair, say something about the way you talk, your style, your pants being lower than their pants. You have to know that these things are coming. And one thing you do is do the opposite. Say the opposite. I'm very, very big on that, man. That's why I try to teach the young guys, man. You know what's coming. You know what pisses you off. So if you know it already, you know exactly what to change and what to work on.
Okay, good evening. My name is Marnique Turner. I'm a freshman here. And like I said, my name is Marnique. It's a simple name to me. It's 2 syllables. But like in the corporate world, not in the corporate world, I'm only 18. But like, I've heard Monique, Marnique, my Uber driver probably Marticana. I don't know where the name came from. But like, and I remember Raven's mom, she was on her TV show. And she said she would hire someone with the name Watermelon Drea or somewhere along those lines. So how do you all feel about, especially Black people saying that they wouldn't hire someone with an intricate name or whatever?
That's why
Nobody takes Raven Simone seriously. So it's fine. But I have dealt with that a lot of times. My name has been misspelled in emails, back and forth, phone calls. I've been called Monty, and I'm like, do you not? Okay. So you just have to politely correct them. No, I'm sorry, my name is, what'd you say? Was I didn't hear you? Marnique. No, I'm sorry, my name is Marnique. Well, I'll just call you Nique for short. No. My name is Marnique. I don't answer
For short.
Like,
It's
exactly.
It's no nickname.
Exactly. And you're absolutely right. And like I said, my first name is Jasmine, and my friends know me as Monet. My family calls me Jasmine. Well, they call me Jasmine when I'm in trouble. So when my boss is like, "Oh, I'll just call you Jasmine," no, that's not how I applied for this job. That's not the name on my plaque. That's not the name of my email. That's not the name of my paycheck. You're going to call me Monet or Marnique, and if that's too hard for you, I'm sorry. Phonetics, hooked on phonics, use something. I don't know, but this is my name, and just politely let them know. No, I'm sorry, it's Marnique. You just have to let them know.
I correct people with Andrea all the time. I mean, you can say Andrea, you can say, it's just with your name in general, that's who you are. So you have to be proud and say, hey, this is how you say my name. Or if you don't feel confident, or you think that, applying for a job or even an internship in your situation and someone is mispronouncing your name or saying it, or trying to give you a totally different name, just be completely, look them in their eyes. Don't look down and say, well, no, it's this. No, say, hi, my name is Andrea, so that they know.
And if they don't hire you on your name, it's not a place you want to be anyway.
I have a completely different, my name is John Timothy Martin III. I went by Pete for my years at Oglethorpe, and what I realized my last year is that, that's not who I am. I wrote a poem called John versus Pete, which one do you know? And what that showed me was that I was growing out of something. And so I have an issue with people asking me, is that my real name? Is it short for something? So you're gonna deal with these issues. But it's really good. What I see from both of y'all, it's really good that you at 18, how old are you, buddy? 23. Even at these ages, I'm 28. I'm just now getting over. You ask me these questions, I'm just now getting over that. Y'all see that at a young age, so y'all be able to adapt early. That's the good thing about Oglethorpe. Oglethorpe teaches you that. You learn. I'm able to adapt in situations I believe I'll be able to adapt in situations I haven't been in yet because of Oglethorpe University. So you're at a really good place, Martin, and just continue to be patient with people as well. I know a lot of, you got to be patient with some people because they just don't, some of them don't know. Some of them are actually completely innocent. Really, they're really innocent. Some of them are really innocent. And some of them really are inquisitive and want to know. The curiosity is just eating at them. But then you have some that are actually attacking your character.
Yeah, trolling.
If I could ask a follow-up question on that. I know that Aditya, but my whole name is Aditya. That's my first name. So I was wondering, when I apply for an internship, what do I put out? What should that resume say?
I put J Monet, just J. Monet,
Okay.
just because when you're applying for a job and they ask you to fill out, when you finally get to the point where you need to put your social security and all these things and your benefits and what is your name so we can run your background and check your credit and everything like that. When they see that J, they know, oh, there's a first name there. They're not surprised when I say, oh, actually my first name is such and such, but I go by my middle name. And a lot of times they're pretty understanding about that because you have a lot of professionals that do that. They'll be like L. David Jackson or something. It just happens. So they're usually pretty understanding about this.
As far as putting your full name on resumes and that sort of thing, I review a lot of resumes every year when I'm hiring staff. And what I will say is it's 2016, so one of the first things people do is not to actually look at your resume, but to Google you. So make sure you have a LinkedIn. Make sure it's filled with pictures of you at your best in your professional attire. LinkedIn is really great. You can put your volunteer photos on there, and then after seeing the best version of you, they still want to throw your resume in the trash. You don't need to belong there anyway. That's not a good space for you. So go ahead, put your full name, put the name you want to be called on your resume, on your documents, and just be upfront about it.
Just a quick tip, don't put your full name on like Twitter or Instagram or anything like that, because that will come up in the Google search. And if you're on Snapchat with a red cup or something and it ends up on Instagram or whatever, and your future boss may see it, that may tarnish their image. And it's not fair because that's your personal life and it has nothing to do with your professional, but they will judge you on that. So if you have like your full name on your Twitter, take it off. Just put a nickname or something. Like
That's where you put your nickname.
Exactly.
That's where your nickname comes in.
I would highly recommend to use social media as one where you have sort of an alias, and that's your personal sort of hidden one, but you also have a professional one. I have a professional Twitter, I have a professional LinkedIn, and I keep my Facebook page very professional. Because if I Google someone and I can't find anything, that's a flag to me. That's, what are you hiding? And it's not fair, but that's immediately what I think of. In 2016, I can't find one thing about you. So have a professional, easily accessible online presence, and let that be the first thing they see. Let that be their first impression of you.
You about to ask a question?
Well, one to, I guess, reply to you, what if someone really don't like use social media? Like, I don't use it at all.
So like, what's your
I bet you I can
industry?
find you.
What's your,
I can find you.
yeah, I can always help people.
Um,
What's your industry, like what industry?
I want to do like writing, published writing.
Oh, you gotta
You
have
have
something.
anything?
You
You
gotta have
No,
something.
I'm not like social media, I don't know.
Like you don't have
If you're a writer, you can put samples of your work online. You can do
Work, right?
We're about to say, start your own blog. The time is now. Just,
Our Twitter account there where you follow all your favorite writers and tweet out about writing. I tweet about higher ed. I have my own personal. I've merged personal and professional because it got too much for me to handle it all because I'm getting old. But I talk a lot about higher ed in both of them so that I can show that this is the industry where I'm working.
Okay, and I guess the second one, I guess what you was trying to tell me, is it like okay for me to do Q, period Dutch, because my last name is Dutch, but I go by my last name. Like,
do that Dutch. She might be best to know if you would abbreviate and have not a name at all on your resume. Your first name?
Yeah.
So they won't know how to address you. So
Do you have a middle name?
Yeah.
what's your name? What's your first name?
Montez.
Montez? I wouldn't be, me personally, dude, I have so much pride in my name because it's not just me in my name. Me being the third and telling people that when I have a son, God bless me with that. My wife wants all girls, which is crazy. But I would name him the fourth. I have so much pride in my name because of who my father was to me and my grandfather was to me, who took the time out and named me. So I personally would tell you, take pride in who you are, in your name. Place it on that resume. Because if it's for you, you're going to get that position. If it's yours and you have what if you were prepared and you got what they asked for, you're going to get it, man. So
If you want to go by, if you want to go by Dutch, after you get the interview, do that. But because if they Google Q.Dutch,
oh yeah, no.
That might be, like you said, a red flag because nothing comes up. But you still want to put your best foot forward, and then when you get through the door, they'll be like, actually, I go by this. However, a government name, the name that y'all gonna sign a check on, is that's the important part.
You can be very informal. Hey man, I tell some people, hey, call me Pete. You know, hey, call me Dutch. They say, hey, call me Dutch.
My name's Najma. I want to know what are some specific microaggressions you've dealt with, and how did you respond to them?
Hair is a big thing. I change my hair like every other week, maybe. I'm getting better at it though. Like 1 week I'll be weaved up, the next week it'll be natural, 1 week it'll be short, the next week it'll be long, and big curly fro, sleek and straight. And a lot of times you have to deal with I'm not a dog, please don't pet me. Really quick, just straight to the point. Please don't pet me, I'm not a dog. And they get it. Some of them are like horrified when you say that. Others are like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like they get it. But if you just go like, girl, what are you doing? Like, you don't want to do that necessarily in certain spaces, but just really quickly, like, please don't touch my hair. Please don't touch me. Please don't. Like, a lot of times you just kind of have to, you say, real quick and real professional, like, just be like, please don't. Like, especially with your dreads, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, your hair, how do you get it like that? And they'll just want to just burn right in there. And you just have to be like, please don't touch me. Like, no, it's not okay. I've actually had, I remember when I was working at City, and I had like this huge like Diana Ross blowout. And this one, her name was Kathy, and she was a really nice, middle-aged woman from South Carolina, and she was really sweet, and she had a twang, and we were really cool. But she just came up one day and was like, oh my gosh, I just love your hair. Girl, please keep your hands to yourself. Like, she's like, but it's just so big and fluffy. And I'm like, Kathy, please stop touching me. Like, please stop touching my hair. And she just kept going and kept going. I'm like, Kathy, I am not a dog. Please do not pet me. And she finally got it. So a lot of times, like they were saying, it's innocent and it's just like, oh my gosh, your hair defies gravity. I want to touch. Is it soft? It feels like a Brillo. It looks like a Brillo pad, but it's really hip. I don't know. So a lot of times you just have to, real cute. And a lot of times you just want to be like, you don't get shook out there. But you can't do that because you're in a place of business. So you just really have to just be like, please don't do that. Thank you. I'd appreciate it if you didn't. I'm asking you not to. Like, if it continues to happen, then you may have to get a little more aggressive with your request, but they usually give it to us. So, yeah.
What I encounter a lot of in my industry, I have to do a lot of sort of social gatherings, happy hours, networking, that sort of thing, and you're going to encounter a lot of off-color jokes. And when you're fresh, when you're an intern, and you're with a partner or manager, sometimes out of nervousness and anxiety, it's a habit to sort of chuckle or laugh or just like, oh, ha, ha. Don't do that. Don't laugh. Don't encourage. You may not want to, stand up to the partner of this firm and like shut them down and, explain why that offends you, but do not encourage it under any circumstances. That's both if it's an off-color joke about, black culture, a woman, be gay, straight, like be an ally to everyone. Don't encourage that sort of behavior. Shut it down, because what I've noticed, if I call anyone out on it, they'll say, oh, well, she laughed or he laughed.
Right.
And that in their mind, it's okay. And they just disregard anything you try to say to them. So be an ally to everyone and don't encourage that behavior, and you will slowly start to tweak their behavior and they will stop telling those jokes. Well, at the very least, around you.
Yeah. Take the time to educate. If you have an opportunity to educate, take the time to educate someone on why you do it, why your culture does this way, or whatsoever. Take the time out and educate. I definitely deal with a lot of people asking me a lot of things. And when I have the opportunity, I educate. And after they're educated, they approach it differently. So, in my experience.
Don't always agree. Because I think somebody mentioned earlier, you don't always want to be the black spokesperson, PSA for black folk.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when it happens, just be like, and if they ask you why you do this way, be like, well, I don't want to speak for all black people, so maybe you should research that and let me know what you think. Let them go out and seek the knowledge. Don't ever. Google is free 24/7. You just pick up the phone there. You can even just chat it and be like, hey girl, so why? Like, just tell them, just be like, oh, I don't want to come off as a spokesperson for all people of color, so maybe you should research that, and once you figure it out, come back and we'll chat about it, and then maybe I can learn you something. But otherwise, sometimes, because it gets exhausting to always be that black voice, black face in a white space. So a lot of times it's real easy to just be like, well, I know why I do it, but, us as a whole, maybe you should research that and let me know what you think and come back and we can talk about it. So.
And most of the ones that I've experienced so much around being surprised by something. So you talk really well, you write very well. I just went to Ghana, and so I talk a lot about going to Ghana and how amazing the trip was. And so they were like, oh, oh, that's interesting because it's their first time in Africa. You know, it's not what they're. Sometimes it's the sometimes it's the the way people. And honestly, they don't know. And there are some that try your life, you know. Try your life, and so I've had to make very serious decisions about how I even talk to like vice presidents of universities and the things that they say. And not only listening when a joke is told about other people, but watch how you're reacting to other cultures too, and watch what you're saying about other cultures. Because I love Black people, because I think we have a very interesting history, not only in this country but around the world. It's a beautiful history. If you just Google, it's beautiful. But what happens is that we're very insular into our own selves. And again, Chad was saying he explores all these other cultures. That's important too. Watch how you're noticing, watch how you're talking to people from other cultures about people from other cultures when you feel like it's in a shared space. I've heard people who are African American talk about people who are African American but they're ethnically African, right? Talk about them in very damaging ways. And so be very careful about how you're talking about other people in spaces too, because that also is a representation of how people may come off to you, right? We do the very things that people are doing to us and we don't even realize it. And for people who are part of the LGBTQIA community as well, it's the very same thing, particularly in our community in the South, that they're talked about in disparaging ways, and we have extremely homophobic things to say. We never even check people, or we either never check other people, or we allow those conversations to continue and we participate in those conversations. And so, you know, also be very aware of yourself in that space too.
Question for you. With regard,
that's an alarm too, y'all.
Crystal's going to close it out for us, actually.
Okay, great. We've talked a lot about appearances and how you all look and how people perceive us. Once you get the job, and these are microaggressions that we have to face, your work product, because people will try you about your work. You, we're going to call you Sally Q, and Crystal Harris, I can put out a work and they'll look at it and then not trust your work. I work in a legal profession, so sometimes when they you give them legal representation or you give them some type of a consultation, they don't know from the way I speak who I am. You know, they come in and they're very surprised about who Crystal Harris is. I'm like, gotcha. But when you have a cohort, you're working in groups, because you don't find working in groups when you work in corporate America, and people try your work, and you know who you are. You come from Oglethorpe, you're going to write better than everyone. I'm just going to let you know that off the rip.
Even if you go to graduate school, you're
going to write better than your boss. That's just how it is. But people are not. How do you deal with people questioning your work product, and your work ethic being Black?
At Liberty Mutual, when I worked in sales and service, my last job, I was a manager, and we had to do reports every day. Every day we had to run reports, and my superiors were just astonished of how I came to my conclusions for the sales for that day. They were like, we cannot do this. This is not, how did you even come up with this? And I'm like, the last month we had similar sales. You know, I'm having to explain myself. And by the end of that career, that's why I'm with a different company, but by the end of that career, I stopped explaining myself, because there's no reason why. If they can go back and research everything that I've done, or we've had reports, the forecast, everything like that, and I shouldn't have to explain myself. And I saw that over and over again. And that was just with, I felt like it was just with me, because they couldn't believe, like, wait a minute, where did you get this from? How did you even do this? How did you know this? And it's very upsetting, because you're like, we do this all the time. This is what I do. This is my profession. So it's hard to have people question your work. But in your heart, you know what you're doing. You got this job. You went to school. You got the background. You got the education. But at the end of the day, you just have to let them know, hey, I did the research. If you want to go back and check this, you definitely can. But they don't have the time to do that. So you just have to present it and keep moving. Or you need to move on to a different job. I suggest that as well.
You have to be very proud of your work. You cannot be unsure of yourself. The minute that they feel like they can chip at that confidence, they just go at it. So you have to be very, like she said, very sure of who you are. You have to know your work inside and out and dare them to quiz you on it. People know that you're working with, no, I did this. This wasn't him, this was all me. And a lot of times they're surprised, it's like, oh my gosh, you did this really hard macro in Excel all by yourself? Yes,
That's a
I did.
microaggression.
Yeah.
Ain't that it? Like you really have to be out there with your work. You have to let people know, no, that was me, I did that. That's my work, I did it. Here, I can explain to you how it got done if you want to talk about it. Otherwise, can I go back to doing what I was doing before?
Challenge your friends to challenge you. When you get in the workforce, you will be challenged on a regular basis. And you'll be challenged just because. So your circle has to be a circle of individuals that are constantly challenging each other. I'm looking at people that I'm pretty sure y'all are freshman friends, right, Tommy?
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure as friends, they go through ups and downs through their challenges of each other. My sister, I have no one that challenges me more than Jill. Jill was somebody I always had to look up to because at 15, she came into Oglethorpe University. She doesn't like to talk about this. She graduated Oglethorpe University at 19. She took time off, and now she's at the point where she's going to have her doctorates. And I'm pretty sure she's constantly challenged. But there's nobody that challenges me more than the person I kept in my circle. So the people that you have around you, make sure they are the ones challenging you first to be prepared for those that will challenge you later. And how you react to those people that care about you, you're definitely going to be able to react to the others differently. So y'all just make sure you do that as well.
May I have one point from the young man here who said he may have the problem? With all of you all and y'all professions, I want you to know one thing. You have to document, and I think Jill touched on it. But you have to document everything. And I do that because that's what I do, you know. I need the evidence. But you have to, because that email is going to save your life. It's going to come to a point where you're going to have to recall that email, memorialize conversations that you have with people that are serious in nature, such and such on this day, pursuant to her, whatever it is. CC who you need to CC, send it to them because they will try you in so many ways. And if you don't have the evidence to support what it is that you're saying, they're going to always default to the other person.
Yes.
That's what you all have to realize. That's the thing that you guys, the disadvantage that we all have. You have to show them, unfortunately, on January 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, you tried to do this.
Yes.
If you don't have email, certified letters with a return receipt. Let somebody sign for it. That thing. And with your name, if they can say Nietzsche and Herodotus and Thucydides and Tchaikovsky, they can say your name, okay? Say it proudly. Hold these people accountable. That's what you have to do in this kind of thing. You don't have to be aggressive with it. You can still be your sweet self. You know, this all-American girl smile. But I'm going to email you and paper you to death.
Yes.
Always remember that. You can do that here at Oglethorpe because, you know, as great as our school is, we still have problems on this campus. We had them when I was here. I'm sure you're going to have them here. They're going to have them afterwards. That's the world that we live in, you know? These things that you do, papering people, start that now. Email is great. Get you a nice professional email, not, you know, love mama, love daddy, 27.
Oh, God.
Let's not get that. Whoever you are, you know, let's get, you know, a nice Gmail account, a Ymail, whatever the hot thing is that day, you know, and make sure you memorialize conversations, okay? When you submit something, triple and double check it, because you all know you have to be twice as good.
Have somebody else check it. She's my checker. We
All the
check each
time, I
other.
get tired of it. But you know what, she's my girl, you know. She's my girl, and she's in corporate America. I'm not so much. My whole office looks like me. I don't have the same problems that they have. We have a different type of problem. And the other side looks different from me, and they try you. You know? That's the thing where you have to do, especially in the legal profession. They're going to come up there, you'll see you, and they'll think, automatically, I'm going to go with you. And you have to be a certain way, you know. You have to know your stuff. You know, you all black man, you look a certain way with your hair and how you look and how you feel, and you as your natural, they're going to automatically assume certain things. But if you can get the 1, 2, 3s and ABCs on them, what can they say?
And we can be able to say the back, the outfit and backwards too.
Right?
You
You have to, you know. Like Pete was saying, I know Miss Pete because he was, you know, when he came here, he was Pete to me, you know. Surround yourself with people of like mind. regardless of your race or whatever, keep a diverse pool of it. So you will always be abreast and aware of what's going on, you know, because this is the world that you live in, and hopefully it'll get better. But you have a political climate that's saying that it could get worse, okay? So protect yourself and protect your fellow person, you know? If you see another, you get in a position, and you see another person like you, I'm not saying nepotism, but I'm saying nepotism, you know? And that's not only with black people, that's with women too, you know? You have to be in a position like to help another woman out, to help someone else, or help another. These are the things that you did, you know, you're gonna encounter, unfortunately. And it's gonna be on your back to help the next generation. So when you come in 10 years, you know, I'm still a student, so I don't, you know, and help someone else out. You can sit here strong in who you are with your dress or with your name or with your attitude, and let them know, okay? All right. I'm not hard to count.
Real quick, I blind copy some people as well. Like, sometimes I know I come off as arrogant or cocky or I do, but there's no one as confident as Pete Martin, also known as John. There's no one as confident as I am about anything that I say. I speak as if I'm always right, but I do stand fine being corrected. But I blind copy others also just to make sure, hey, how did this sound, bro? Or that's another witness, just in case, you know, there's something else to do.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so we're Oglethorpe alums, and well, my name is Ebony, and I just think with this whole conversation, I think it's been great. I just want to make sure that no one goes into the workforce or an internship just feeling a lot of fear. Like, I'm someone who, I think Oglethorpe was just a great place for me to grow as not only a student, but as a person. And I think in many cases, I've just been afforded many opportunities to learn from people who don't look like me. Like, one of my greatest mentors is a man in his 60s. He's white, he's bald, and he's a CPA. We look nothing alike. Nothing about our backgrounds are the same. But one of the things I can honestly say is that because of him, I have seen so much success in my career. And so I think for you all, while you're, you know, trying to get acclimated into the workforce, like, if there's someone who sees potential in you, like, it's okay to open up to them and allow yourself to learn from them. Because the goal is to be the best version of yourself. The goal is to be successful. And as you grow and as you achieve success, that helps the entire community of people of color. So I just want to make sure I put that out there. Just, you know, don't go in with any type of fear. My name is Ebony. That's as black as you can be. You know what I mean? Like, they know, like, I'm gonna be black. Like, there are probably no, you know, Caucasian women named Ebony, you know, but that's something I'm proud of. But I think if anything, like, don't be fearful. Like, you have what it takes to be successful. You have what it takes to be just as good as anyone else, regardless of their ethnicity, their creed, religion, any of that. So
I think that's a good point. Don't be afraid to get a mentor who looks absolutely nothing like you. And men, don't be afraid to get a woman mentor. I actually suggest it because, at least where I work, there's a lot of sexism, microaggressions, and a lot of times you have to deal with that too. And a lot of times, guys, I'm not sure how they're completely clueless about this, but they are. So when you get a woman mentor that says, actually, that's not cool, and let me tell you why, then you curb that, and then you can check someone else who's doing the same thing. So a lot of times, like she was saying, don't be afraid to get a mentor who looks absolutely nothing like you, because if they want to help you succeed in their career, that also looks good on them. They don't care about your color, about your race, about your sexual orientation, any of that. So I definitely co-sign with what you were saying.
And I know we're wrapping up. I like this idea of mentors because I think it's very important. But I also I call them paragons, but they're people who are doing very well in the workplace. And if I'm unsure about how to do something, I kind of am looking to see what they're doing in this situation, or I ask them a question. So they're not mentors per se, but they're people who either I can model myself after of how they operate, or they're people who I've seen to do something very well, so I've memorized it in that way. And one of my favorite quotes now that I'm a doctoral student is that it's from Audre Lorde, which is about self-care is also a form of revolution. It's a form of making sure you are, by practicing self-care, you're taking care of yourself, And in oppressive situations, we often don't take care of ourselves. So find the things that you really like to do and do those as a way of taking care of yourself to sort of protect yourself in some of these environments.
And always be cognizant of how people make you feel when you're in certain situations. Because, you know, day to day, we're bombarded with so much, and it's so, being Black is amazing, but it's also very exhausting. So you have to, you know, like she's saying, take care of yourself. Sometimes, you know, when work gets too tough and too crazy, just take a second in the bathroom, just take a couple minutes and just breathe. You know what I mean? Take, you know, on your lunch break, just chill by yourself. Don't get on social media, listen to music, just clear your mind for a minute. So I just think that is very much an important thing, because when you deal with microaggressions all day, being a woman or being Black, and you have to constantly, you feel like you're constantly checking, correcting, educating, doing this, doing that, you get tired and it gets exhausting and you start to dread going to work the next day. And it's just, you really have to take that time for yourself to just take a step back and relax. And sometimes you don't always have to fight. Like I said, I don't always believe in educating people because Google is free 24/7. So a lot of times you take care of yourself by saying, well, you know what, how about you go research that and we can talk about it later. Because a lot of times you're just like, I don't feel like it today. I don't feel like dealing with the bullshit, excuse my language, but I just don't feel like dealing with it today. And a lot of times you just have to put that blockade and that barrier up, and it's okay. You don't always have to be out there fighting a good fight. Sometimes you just need that break, and, you know, we can talk about it tomorrow, but I don't want to do this today.
Bros, to the guys here, there's 4 of them. You see how many there is? There's 4 of them. There's always a small amount of Black men in these situations. Educate yourself on your stereotypes. Educate yourself on your demographics. Educate yourself on why things are done the way they're done within our demographic, please. And then you'll stop doing a lot of them. I'm not saying that you're doing them, but at least you might be able to educate some young guys. Because I got young guys don't even know where sagging come from. So once you learn it, you'll be able to teach it just to the people within your demographic, to grow them, not grow them, to make them stronger, teach them.
Never apologize for being Black or any
We
ethnicity. You know, we tell you a lot what you can't do, what you don't. Never apologize for being Black. As a matter of fact, 2016 is the year of being unapologetically Black. You know? But seriously, never apologize from the culture from which you come. It's a proud one. It's a strong one. Be who you are. You know, you can be very, very Black without being very aggressive.
Yes.
Your perception of me is not my reality of me, okay? Always remember that, and I don't have to educate you or whatever. Live your life in a way that's education enough for them, okay? Drop mic, let's go.
On that, you know, very powerful and inspiring, you know, panel today, you guys gave us a lot of information, and so I want to thank our panel for being here today.